Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Eternal Life Plan. I want to welcome the new members, the new subscribers, and we'll get right into it about the pro-life movement. Since 1973, when Roe v. Wade passed, the pro-life movement sprang up and began fighting the war against abortion. When the Dobbs decision was issued in 2022 by the U.S. Supreme Court, abortion laws were punted to individual states and the pro-life movement celebrated. But I've said this many times, was it really something to celebrate? Recent research shows that abortions are up to 20%. Let me say that again. Recent research shows that abortions are up 20% since the Dobbs decision. How can this be? Well, 63% of all abortions are now done in the privacy of the mother's home through tele-health doctors that are prescribing them abortion pills. Pills that have 8 serious side effects: partial abortions, which leads to serious infections, even sepsis; excessive bleeding that leads to life-threatening blood loss. That's just to name a few of the serious side effects from the abortion pill. So 52 years later, since Roe v. Wade was passed, there's been no significant change in public opinion against abortion. As a matter of fact, abortion has been normalized, just another procedure under the guise of healthcare, like having your gallbladder removed. Here's a disturbing truth. According to a report summarized by the American Enterprise Institute, in 1983, 10 years after Roe was passed, 57% of respondents said that abortion is the same thing as murdering a child. Let me say that again. This report was made in 1983. And 57% of respondents said that abortion is the same thing as murdering a child. Now hold on to your seats, because in a 2024 Pew Research report, it shows nationally 60 to 64% now favor legal abortion, while 35 to 36% oppose it. So in 1983, 54% opposed it. In 2024, it dropped to 35 to 36% opposing abortion. That's scary, folks. What's even more disturbing, a June 2025 Pew Research poll shows, take a deep breath on this one, 59%, the majority of Protestants, Black Protestants, and Catholics support abortion. 59% support abortion. And 76% of those under 30 think abortion should be legal in most or all cases. So how can the pro-life movement claim they're winning the war on abortion? How can that happen? We'll answer that here in a few minutes. We'll be right back. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me during the monologue. I got an email from Abby that she's running late. So, wasn't those statistics staggering? Weren't they staggering? I mean, let me go through those statistics one more time. All right. Because when I was putting this together for you all, I could not believe it. And here's the thing. In 1983, 57% of people said that abortion is the same thing as murdering a child. Then it dramatically drops to 35 to 36% believe now that abortion is murdering a child. So in that time frame, it really does question, has the pro-life movement really worked, right? So that is the real problem. And then to have the majority religious communities, majority of Protestants and Black Protestants and Catholics, 59% support abortion. Then we go down to under 30. The under 30-year-olds, 76% believe that abortion should be legalized either completely or with a few exceptions. That's how mainstream that abortion has become. It has been really, really disturbing to watch the pro-life movement kind of collapse. And that's what it feels like to me. Joseph, in Canada, we have no abortion law. You can abort a child right up to the 9th month. Horrendous. Wow. So even if the child, Joseph, is about to be delivered, they can be, they have to be aborted. Is that what the law is? Or there's no law? So a mother can decide as she's in delivery that she wants to abort. Is that what you're saying, Joseph? Would you let me know? Okay. Looks like we have Abby. Hi, Abby.
Hi. Sorry, I'm in the car.
Oh, I didn't know that. Had that, if you had been on your way somewhere, I'd have been more than happy to have
No.
rescheduled this for you.
I'm a writer, so I'm good.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you missed a monologue, but I was giving the audience the bad news about how many people now believe that abortion is murder, and it's down to 30% believe, according to the recent research, that abortion is murder. So, well over 65% abortion has become mainstream. So, thank you for taking the time to come on, Abby. I had posed questions to the audience and asked them if what they would like for me to ask you. So we'll get to those questions, okay? And I like to make them a part of the Eternal Life Plan family. So let me get those questions to start.
Okay. If I can just comment on that,
Sure.
that statistic that you mentioned. I mean, it is disheartening, but also, I would say, unsurprising, since the pro-life movement for the past 50 plus years has said abortion is murder, abortion is murder, abortion murder. But now Roe's overturned. There's an opportunity to actually treat abortion as murder, and they have escaped that opportunity at every turn. And so we look like a terrible movement of inconsistency when we say one thing, but then we actually behave another. So I think, I mean, we look like a movement that actually doesn't believe what we say. And so
I
I
don't
think
disagree with you on that.
I think there's a lot of people, even in the pro-life movement, who were sort of nominally pro-life or moderately pro-life, who are like, well, it doesn't even look like we believe what we say anymore. And I think we have lost people because of our willingness to compromise, and our willingness to moderate on murder.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that came up. So this is from Father Embarado. Do you know who he is?
I do.
Okay. So he says legal scholars such as Dr. Robert George, Josh Craddock, John Phoenix, Hadley Arcus, and others, as well as several pro-life activists, believe the 14th Amendment rights of the preborn are being denied and that their mass murder is clearly unconstitutional. Pro-life leaders such as Lila Rose and Kristen Hopkins and yourself have spoken at times in agreement of this, but have not united around and truly focused on the abolition of abortion through constitutional personhood from conception, demanding national recognition through the courts. Why the lack of unity and focus on this constitutional narrative, in your opinion? Now, I know you have come out and have supported that, but why the lack of unity?
Well, I think so. I think why the lack of unity in the pro-life movement? I think if I had to say one of the definitions of the pro-life movement is a fundamental lack of unity. And I think that makes sense, right? I mean, when I worked at Planned Parenthood, the pro-abortion movement is very, very united. They unite well, they strategize well, they're well equipped. They they come together well. I mean, they want to have a conference. They announce a conference. 2 weeks later, they've got 3,000 people showing up to a conference. We have a conference. We announce a conference. We work on it for a year. We've got 400 people showing up. So there is a lack of unity because I think there is a feeling of competition. I think there is a feeling that, there's a lack of donors. So people feel like they're competing for money. They're competing for donors. They're competing for influence. Everybody wants their voice to be the voice that people are listening to. And, certainly that, I've been in that position before too, until God really humbled me and showed me that it's not about my influence. It's about using me for his influence. I think it makes sense that their movement would be entirely unified, because it is Satan at the helm of their movement. Satan is leading their movement. And so they're all united around him and his works. And, who is supposed to be leading our movement? Well, who's supposed to be leading our movement is Christ. And so Satan has to get in the middle of our movement to create factions, to create disunity. And the problem with our movement is that we allow it to happen. And instead of recognizing what is actually happening, instead of recognizing and saying, I understand that this is spiritual. I understand that this is the enemy coming into our camp and trying to create a problem. I understand that, this is somebody just trying to cause problems. This isn't somebody that's trying to create a purpose, but just trying to cause disunity and confusion. We allow it to happen. and we start going online and we start bad talking each other, and we start talking about how terrible this person is or terrible that person is, or we start going on social media, and it's, I mean, it's unhealthy. We don't call each other directly, we don't talk to each other directly, but we're very happy to talk about each other. And it just creates for a very toxic movement. It creates for a very toxic environment. And we're allowing it to happen to ourselves. So I think, the 14th Amendment is great. I think personhood is great. The problem, though, is that you have to have some sort of criminality behind it. So, I mean, you can say that's a person, great. But if you violate that person's personhood, what are you going to do with it? So granting personhood is not enough. You have to then take it a step further and say, then what are we going to do? If you then kill that person, then what? So just saying like, well, you've got personhood, that's not going to be enough. And so we need to be uniting behind a much bigger cause than just saying the 14th Amendment grants personhood. We need to be uniting behind a much bigger cause than that. And that is actually eliminating abortion through the law, by saying abortion is murder. It is actually murder. We're going to call it murder. We are going to consider it murder. It is going to be treated as murder in the law. And we are also going to provide as much support as possible for women who are considering abortion, who are pregnant, who are in need of assistance. So I think it's both and. But I think constantly going around and calling every woman that has an abortion a victim, and just stopping at the 14th Amendment, just stopping at personhood, that's not going to go far enough.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I know Father Emerato and I have talked about that. If the 14th Amendment was upheld by the Supreme Court, abortion would essentially be over. So then he goes on and says, what do you think?
Christine, let me just say, it wouldn't be just over.
Well, abortion would be over, but the women that are pregnant, that's a whole side issue. As you said, they need support.
It wouldn't just be over, because there has to be a criminal process.
Yeah.
Like here in the state of Texas, abortion is technically banned, right? Like abortion is technically illegal, but there is no criminal process to actually prosecute someone for having an abortion. So you can say that's a person. You can say abortion's illegal. You can say don't drink and drive. You can say don't rape somebody. But if there's no teeth to that law, if there's no criminality behind it, and I'm sitting here with a criminal attorney, so she's probably like, you're using all the wrong language. But if there's nothing to it to actually make someone say, oh crap, I actually don't want to do this because I could get in trouble. Like that's one of the purposes of the law, is to be a teacher and also to be a deterrent. So we can't just say it. We can't just say like, oh, you're a person. We have to act on it. And so it's like a two-step process, right? Does that make sense? You have to declare it, and then you have to make a law to act on it.
So are you saying that if it's if the unborn is protected under the 14th Amendment as a federal constitutional, what do I want to say?
Like a constitutional amendment.
Issue. Right. There is no law that will say if you have an abortion, that's a criminal act. Is that what you're saying?
Right. You would have to say something that would have to be, there would have to be some sort of penalty, right?
Okay.
For
So
that.
would that be state by state?
It shouldn't be. It should be a federal law. And that's one of the
Okay.
problems right now with the pro-life movement, is that they are all calling for state by state rule for
Yeah.
abortion, which is insanity, because we do have federal protections against murder, right? There are
Mhm.
federal laws against murder. We right now in our country have laws, federal laws, protecting sea turtles. We have federal laws protecting bald eagles.
Right.
We have federal laws that protect dogs from dog fighting rings. But the pro-life movement says that we want to go state by state with the murder of the unborn. That is entirely inconsistent, and that should not be the position of the pro-life movement. And that is not how we are going to win. We are not going to win by saying it is okay to murder a human being in California, but it is not okay to murder a human. We are outright rejecting murder of all human beings at all times.
Okay. So why can't the pro-life movement get around that?
Because they want to believe that all women are all victims at all times. And the people, a lot of the women that run the larger pro-life organizations are within a particular demographic, I would say between the ages of 55 and 75. And these are women who have had abortions. And this is just completely Abby Johnson's opinion. But I believe that these women are in a demographic of women who have had abortions, and they truly were victims. These were women that did ultrasound technology was not available. Many of them walked into a doctor's office and said, I don't know if I'm pregnant. I haven't had my period. And the doctor took a pregnancy test and said, don't worry about it. We're going to do a little procedure to bring your period back. It's called a menstrual extraction. And these women didn't even know it was an abortion. These are women who truly were victims. We did not have the scientific technology. We didn't have the medical technology we have today. These were young women at a time where, we really, in our culture, we really didn't know much. We didn't really know much. We didn't really know better. And I think that these women were truly harmed by abortion in a way where they really were a victim. And so if we came out with a law that actually called abortion murder and considered abortion murder and treated abortion as murder, and now we're out here saying, well, okay, then that means what? That means that women that have abortions are what? Murderers,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm totally comfortable saying that.
I am too.
I'm totally comfortable saying I'm a woman that had 2 abortions and I murdered both of my children.
Yeah.
I'm
I
totally
agree with that
comfortable.
100%. I do too.
I'm totally comfortable saying that about myself. I made 2 the most selfish choices I've ever made in my life, and I did it with responsibility and knowledge, and I murdered my children. And I'm okay with hearing that, right? Because I've made peace with God. And but these women truly were victimized. And I think just even hearing that, and even just considering that people think that they are murderers when they were actually victims, is so difficult for them and so traumatizing for them, that they would rather consider everyone a victim than think that some people think that they are a murderer.
So they can't get around the 14th Amendment because of the criminality that would be involved. Got it. Okay. I didn't know that piece. I'm glad you explained that.
And that honestly, Christine, that makes sense to me, people who are deeply wounded, people who are deeply
Yeah.
traumatized. It makes sense to me. But also, I know that there is a group of young people rising up in this country. They are young, they are conservative, they are pro life. Many of them have had abortions. Many of them are very comfortable with calling abortion murder. All of them are. And they are ready for a changing of the guard. And
Mhm.
they are ready for something new. And these are the people on college campuses. These young people are asking me, Abby, if we're calling it abortion, if we're calling it murder, why aren't we treating it as murder? And these are the people that are going to be rising up in the next couple of decades, in the next generation. And they're going to be the ones that are going to be running these organizations. And I believe things are going to be changing.
Okay,
Um,
good.
I do believe we are going to see that change. I pray we're going to see that change, but I also think it's going to take people like myself and other people who are courageous enough to say, we need to step out and call abortion what it is and be willing to take the risk. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like I've had events cancel. I've had Catholic events cancel. I've had, you know, bishops tell their diocese, Abby Johnson's not welcome in this diocese anymore because she believes in criminalization of abortion, um, because she wants to throw women in jail, which is not my position at all. I don't want any woman to go to jail because I don't want any baby to be murdered.
Mhm.
Um, I want women to have all the resources and help that they need so that they don't feel like they need to make that decision. Um, but I think that we do have to have due process when we're talking about murdering innocent human beings.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me get to some more questions for you, Abby, okay?
Yep.
And I appreciate you, explaining that because I didn't know that piece. Who would you say then that can follow your way of thinking about abortion, just calling it what it is, murder? Who would be those influential pro-life people right now in the movement?
I would say, you know, Lila is, I think she believes it. I think these are her beliefs. I think that, I don't know. I don't want to speak for her or whatever, but I do believe these are her beliefs. But I don't know if, um, she has a board that she needs to please and donors. And I think there is, with some people, I don't know about her, but I think there is probably a fear of, losing donors or, um, having board approval. So I don't know if that's a concern. Um, Kristen Hawkins and I are very good friends. And this is, something that we talk about a lot.
She doesn't
Um,
vocalize it much.
she does not have, she has a lot of women on her staff. She's a couple women in particular on her staff that were part of that demographic that I was talking about, that were truly victims. And so this is a very personal issue for these people on her staff. They're sort of like, high up in her staff. And so she walks a kind of a thin line here because she wants to respect those staff members. And so she's still kind of, she's still like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't want anyone to perceive that I want women to go to jail. I think she wants to kind of ride that compassionate line. But I know that that is a sticking point for some of her staff, that they would feel very uncomfortable, calling out for criminalization. So I think a lot of these really strong voices, a lot of these really strong leaders, they have other people that they have to listen to, and other people that certainly, influence the things that they say. And I just don't really have that, because I run my own organization and I started it, and so I don't really care. But
Yeah,
I
you're more freer.
do understand how some people are sort of like hamstrung into, keeping other people happy. So
Yeah. Okay, this is from a top fan, Christine Vondi Grind. I got to think of how to say her name. Grind. Abortion via medication, many times available without a prescription across state lines, is making abortion more accessible than ever. How can we go about putting a stop to this? So that is a big way. People, 63% of abortions, I mean, it's got to be higher than that. Abby, as I know, the numbers are just totally skewed when it comes to reporting abortions. So the numbers are probably a lot higher. So, is there a way to stop this telehealth prescription pad that just just keeps writing these scripts to these women?
I don't think so. Not without sort of criminal portion. Unless there is
You froze
oh,
up on
so
me.
I'm back. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't think there really is a way to really stop it unless there is, and I think you have to go after the consumer. So we do all of this stuff trying to stop doctors, right? Like, we're going to go after the abortionist. We're going to go after the abortionist. Well, now the woman is her own abortionist, right?
Yes.
The woman is the abortionist. She's ordering the pills. She is going online. She is taking the pills. She is looking at her baby in the toilet. She is flushing the toilet. She's paying for the pills herself. Like, she is her own abortionist. So what do we do then, right? So now we're having to think about laws differently. And that is still the hang up, Christine, is how we see women. Are they victims? Are they actually the abortionist? How are we going to deal with this now? We think in the next 2 years, chemical abortions will make up more than 80%
Whoa.
of abortions. I was able to get chemical abortion pills in my hands in 2 days. And I live in the state of Texas, where abortion is supposedly illegal. And they sent me enough pills for free to do 3 abortions.
Whoa.
So
From what state,
in
Abby?
our abortion, where abortion is illegal.
That's incredible. Kayla, another top fan, why don't the pro-life group promote adoption more frequently?
So, yeah, it's a good question. I get that a lot. So we really don't, a lot of people think like, oh, we don't, we have this abortion problem because we don't have enough people, who want to adopt babies. And so we don't actually have really an adoption problem from the adoptive parent side. A lot of people say we need to make it easier to adopt babies. I've adopted a baby. I can tell you it really wasn't that difficult. We don't have a problem from the side of adopting babies. We don't have any babies. That's the problem. We have what we think are about 2 million families that have the funds, that are adoption ready. These are heterosexual married couples who are adoption ready. They could adopt a baby at any time. There are no babies.
Well, they're being aborted.
for adoption, right? Because they're being aborted. So that's actually the problem. I live in outside of Austin, Texas, and about a year ago, there was an adoption agency that closed down. They had a ton of adoptive parents waiting to adopt babies, but they had to close down because they had no babies.
Wow.
So they couldn't work, they couldn't function. So I think the problem that we have right now is that I think we kind of look at adoption in a kind of a weird way. We look at it like, oh, well, I think we need to talk about adoption differently. So, I think we need to talk about adoption like adoption is a parenting decision. And that's how I always talk about it, because adoption is different today than it was 20 years ago, right? These women choose the families where they want their children to go. They pick the family. They can get to know the family. They can have as much or as little involvement with that family as they would like. They make that decision ahead of time. My son's birth mother, my son is 10 years old. His birth mother just came down last weekend and spent the weekend with us. She lives in Maryland. We live in Texas. That's the kind of open adoption. That's what open adoption can look like.
Mm-hmm.
She's very much a part of our lives. He calls her mom too. That's what adoption can look like, but we're not actually promoting adoption like that.
Yeah.
And we need to be telling those stories.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be talking about adoption as a parenting option, not as a third option, but it can be a first option, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be a parenting decision that you make between yourself, an adoptive couple, and your baby.
Yes. Well, back in the 70s, if you were pregnant, that was an embarrassment if you
Right.
weren't married,
Right.
Now it's not an embarrassment. So why not help foster those women that find themselves pregnant to help them deliver that child and get them into the arms of a loving family that can't have children? And you would think there would be more of that, Abby, in this day and age, but it doesn't. It seems to be a topic that you never or you rarely hear about these days.
Yeah, I think it is just, I think we don't talk about it the right way enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think adoption seems very scary. And I understand. I mean, I've had 7 children biologically, so I understand why a woman would say, "Oh my gosh, I can't imagine carrying a child for 9 months and then giving them away." That's what I hear. I volunteer in a pregnancy center, and anytime adoption comes up, that's the first thing that comes out of their mouths.
Really?
Oh, I could never do that. I could never carry a child for 9 months and give them away. And so many times, and so abortion seems like an easier option, right? Because they're like, well, I'll have an abortion and then it's easy. I'll never think about it again. And that is what they're presented with from our society, right? From our culture, that abortion's easy and it's just quick and it's done. It's 5 minutes and you never think about it again.
Well, it's healthcare, Abby.
Sure, that's what they're told. And so to be fair, it does seem like, well, that would be an easier option, right? Everybody can understand how adoption would be very difficult. And adoption causes grief. Adoption is hard. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life, like up until this day and probably for the rest of my life, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life was walking away from Jude's birth mother on the day that
walking away from what? I didn't hear you.
Walking
Abby.
away from my son's birth. Walking away from my son's birth mother.
Oh.
On the day that we flew back to Texas.
Oh.
And we were leaving her in Maryland. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And just watching her grief.
Mm-hmm.
it's not natural, right? Because God does not order our families that way. The natural order of the family is a husband, a wife, and a child. He gave us that, and he gave us that prescription through the Holy Family. But because of our sin and because of our disordered ways, we make other plans, we choose other decisions. He gives us free will. And so he gives us this redemptive way to protect children through adoption, but it still comes from disorder. And anything that comes from disorder is going to cause heartache, and it's going to cause pain, even though it can be redemptive. And so even though my son's story is beautiful and it's redemptive, and we have a beautiful relationship with his birth mother, it's still very heartbreaking, and it's still very sad. And we have to remember that adoption always comes from a place of tragedy. And we have to keep that in mind. Adoption doesn't come from happy places. It comes from broken heartache. And so we don't want that, right? We don't want
the suffering.
We don't. What we want, and what we should want as pro-lifers, what we should want as Christians, healthy, ordered families. We should want husbands, wives taking care of their own children. That's what we should want. That's what we should pray for. That's what we should help families achieve. So that really should be the goal of our movement, and helping women when they are pregnant, really helping to, if there is a man involved, you know what, if you're together and you love each other, you should get married. You should get married, and you should raise this child together as a family, as God has ordered.
As Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Absolutely. Are there financial audits performed on donor funds? If yes, what financial institution performs the audits? If yes, are the results of the financial audits posted to the public so they can view them? And she's referring to a nonprofit.
She's talking about Planned Parenthood?
Pardon
me? Do you think she's talking about Planned Parenthood?
No, she's talking about nonprofits in general.
Okay,
pro-life movements, pro-life people, or pro-life nonprofits is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so pro-life nonprofits do not have to be audited. I would say most, if they receive like over $1 million or $2 million, usually $2 million is sort of the deciding
benchmark.
That's kind of the benchmark. If a nonprofit is receiving more than like $2 million a year, generally they will call for an outside audit. Outside auditors will come in. They fine tooth comb their books, look at all of their receivables, payables, look at all the salaries. They look at ratios, percentages, all this kind of stuff. Those results, anything at a nonprofit is essentially sort of open to the public.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to look at, a company's, wanted to count what they're sending into the government, all this kind of stuff, that's absolutely available. If you wanted to look at, what they needed to work on in their audit, what their percentages were, what their ratios were, receivables, payables, what they spent out, what they spent on salaries, all that kind of stuff, that's absolutely available. And if a nonprofit does not disclose like their 990 to you or something like that, it's available online. Most of them are available online. You can look it up under Charity Navigator. But if a nonprofit is like seems shady and they don't want to show you that kind of stuff, that is a red flag. A nonprofit should be completely open with their books and the way that they're running.
I've done some reports on Catholic media nonprofits that have raked in millions of dollars, and they have never performed an audit at all.
Yeah, and that's concerning.
Decades.
Yeah, and that's concerning. And here's an interesting thing too, Christine. Planned Parenthood does not have an outside auditing firm. Planned Parenthood, who receives $500 million of our tax money every year, does not have an outside auditing team. They only perform inside audits from people who are paid by Planned Parenthood, who are on Planned Parenthood's payroll. And so all of their inside audits are done by their payroll staff, and they are turned in, and that is what they turn in to the IRS. And these groups like Charity Navigator and all these other groups that we all trust, right, to be our eyes and ears for us as we're giving to organizations, Charity Navigator and all of these other organizations consider that an acceptable audit. Now, they would not consider that an acceptable audit for my organization, and then there were none. If I tried to turn in an internal audit that I did on my own organization, they would say, nice try, Abby Johnson, that does not count. But Planned Parenthood does it, and they say, sure, looks great, we'll accept it. And they consider that a successful audit.
You know, I've done some research in quite a few nonprofits, and it's amazing to me what they're hiding. Just amazing. Okay, let's get into, I want you to tell everyone what you're working on, how they can support you in your efforts, how they can follow you. And how much time do you have? Do you have a little bit more time to take comments from the viewers?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I have two nonprofits. Speaking of nonprofits, I have two organizations that I founded and run. The first one is called And Then There Were None. And our goal is to help abortion clinic workers, people like me, people who work in abortion centers. We help them leave the abortion industry and help them. I mean, we want to help them find new employment. Of course, we want to help them leave for that. But really, we want to help them come into a saving relationship with Christ. We're trying to literally pull them off of a path of hell. And help get them to the Lord. Some of your viewers might be surprised to hear that the overwhelming majority of clients that we have that come to us, we've helped 750 come through our organization.
Former Planned Parenthood workers? Okay.
Yes. The overwhelming majority of them do have a former faith foundation. And if they do have a faith foundation, they are Catholic.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. And so the very first thing that we want to do, I know not all of your audience is Catholic, but probably the majority of them are. So the first thing we have to do is we have to get them into confession. And so we want to get them connected back to the sacraments, back in front of the Holy Eucharist. And essentially we want to get the Eucharist to them. And so we have so many fallen away Catholics that are working inside of abortion centers all across the country.
That's interesting.
And and so anyway, so that's one thing that we're doing. And of course, a lot of workers, when they leave the abortion industry and they come to this saving knowledge of faith, they have things that they would like to share, right? The Lord begins to heal them, begins to heal their hearts. And they say, you know what? I recognize a lot of this stuff was going on. It was kind of illegal. It was shady. I think I should talk to someone. We've partnered with the amazing attorneys at Thomas More Society. We've been working with them for years, and they provide always free legal help to any former worker that needs the help. And because of the testimony of these workers, because of their stories, because of their experiences, we've been able to help shut down 55 abortion centers, 55 killing centers. And that, that ends up being lives saved.
Yeah.
We hope. And so, yeah. So that's one thing that we're doing. And then there were none, and people can find out more and hear testimonies as well and read stories. Sometimes we just need that sort of, that just like, this is actually happening. People are actually, waking up and seeing the light, and you can read so many stories and testimonies at our website, abortionworker.com. And then, in 2019, I just saw that there were sometimes there's some gaps in the pro-life movement that need to be filled. And I'm a person that likes to fill gaps. And so that's what And Then There Were None was. It was just a gap that needed to be filled. And so I started an organization called ProLove Ministries. And we have various projects that we work on in the pro-life movement. The largest project that we're working on right now is called Loveline. It is a 24-hour crisis support line and case management system. And we help women who are pregnant and also women who are single mothers with children up to 2 years old. We are not just single parents, but people who are in need of services up to 2 years old. We help them get into our case management system, and it is comprehensive case management. And if we try to find resources for them in their local community, because of course, getting them plugged into a local community, into a local church is the absolute best fit for someone. But if we can't find the resource, then we become the resource. And we never want anyone to murder their child because they're behind on a rent payment, or because, they can't pay their mortgage. Or we had one woman that called and she was like, I do not want to have an abortion, but I'm pregnant. My husband left me because I would not have an abortion. And I do not have another seat in my car for a car seat.
Oh my.
And that, to us, we may look at that and go, oh my gosh, are you really going to kill your baby because you don't have it? But to her, that was like an insurmountable hill that like she could not climb over, right? And so I was on the hotline that day and I just said, listen, I said, if I bought you a car, if we bought you a minivan that could fit all of these seats, would you not have an abortion? And she said, well, yeah, of course, but like, who's going to do that? And I was like, we will do that. And so that day we went online, we told the story, we said, this is what we need. We were able in 45 minutes to raise $22,000. We bought her a used minivan that was in really great shape, and we paid for her insurance for a full year. And she has a 2-year-old little boy today. And so that's what we do. We find the problems. When a woman calls us and says, I need to have an abortion, or I have an abortion scheduled, or whatever it may be, the first question we ask is, what will it take for you to cancel that abortion appointment? And truly, whatever it is, if it is within our if it's within possibility for us, we make it happen. And we have served over 10,000 moms, and that represents over, I think, 16,000 children.
Wow. That's incredible.
That website is just loveline.com.
Loveline.com. That's easy. Isn't it, everybody? That's easy.
Yeah.
Loveline.
And a lot of people contact us because they think we're a dating site, but we're not a dating site. So,
Well, Abby, you can spin it off to
yeah, I mean, yeah. If abortion truly ends, we can just turn it into a dating site, Christian dating site or something.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else that you're
Nope.
working on?
We are working on a film. We are working on a documentary right now. We gathered over 36 former abortion clinic workers, directors, doctors, nurses, um, high level executives from the abortion industry. We gathered more than 3 dozen of them together, and we started asking questions. Tell us about your worst day in the abortion centers.
Mm,
And I I honestly think people are going to be horrified by the
mhm.
things they're hearing in this documentary. I think the pro-life movement thinks, well, we've heard everything.
Oh,
There's nothing you can tell us that would shock us, Abby. And I'm telling you right now, um, like you're not going to believe some of the things that are happening inside of these centers. Like we say, oh, abortion's demonic. Oh, like abortion is child sacrifice. Um, I mean, we hear about babies being born alive, and being murdered after they're born alive. Well, these are the women who watched it happen.
mm,
And they're telling you exactly what's happening to these babies and how they're being murdered. And you're going to hear it firsthand. And nobody, there's no screen over anybody's face. Nobody's voice is being altered. These women are, their faces, they're facing forward. Their full names are on the screen, the clinics where they worked. They are very boldly coming forward and saying, this is what I did. This is where I worked. You know, my trust is in God. I mean, I trust God. Like my salvation is in God's hands. Um, mercy is up to God. This is where I am now in my life. And these babies deserve justice. And this is what I'm trying to do to bring it to them.
wow. When will that be out,
And
Abby?
we're hoping it'll be out by December or January. So we're working on
Okay.
that right now. It's called Unthinkable. The website is unthinkable doc, DOC, like documentary, unthinkabledoc.com.
Will you come back on when it's released
Yeah,
and talk to my audience about it?
absolutely. And you can see like a little teaser trailer on the website right now. And it just kind of gives you like a 1 minute sort of like, I don't know, like preview
Okay.
of
It's a
what you'll see.
trailer.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
just like a little 1 minute. We'll have a
okay.
longer trailer out in the next couple weeks.
Okay. So before we get to viewers' comments, Abby, this is what I do on my channel. We pray a Hail Mary, and I always let my guest lead the prayer and the Hail Mary, and I'll let you give the intention of what we're praying the Hail Mary for.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Okay. All right. Um, all right, let's do this. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Um, I pray that, um, we in this movement, that we who love the Lord, that we who love mothers and families and fathers and children, that we who love God's divine purpose for families, that we would be bold enough, be brave enough to speak God's truth to those that we know, to those that we don't know, that we speak about it on social media, that we speak truth with grace, with compassion, but that we do it courageously. And that we do it as much as we can to restore God's order and to restore the purpose of God's creation. And we ask this intention through our Blessed Mother as we say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Abby. All right, we're going to take a short break. It's like 30 seconds, so you can take a sip of drink or something, and then we'll get to the comments, okay?
Okay.
All righty. We'll be right back, everyone. Eternal Life Plan with Abby Johnson. Okay, we're back.
I'm in my house now, so now all of my kids are in here now saying hi. So here we go. Now it'll be less bumpy. Okay, here we go.
All righty, Nicole, would you mind? Okay, Matthew is up first. Wonder if the election of Trump has made pro-lifers complacent in the abortion issue.
That's a good and complicated question, Matthew. So I have a couple of answers for that. So I think now some people will and won't like this answer, but here it goes. So I think that Trump's moderate view on abortion, in my opinion, I think it's a very liberal view on abortion, has caused many people to moderate their own positions on abortion. And so I think instead of having a leader who says, I am going to protect human life, at all cost, I am going to sign any pro-life legislation that comes across my desk.
Yeah.
I am going to stand up for the unborn each and every time I'm able to as the leader of this country. Like, instead of saying those things, he's like, well, I'm not going to sign any abortion ban. I'm not going to ban abortion at all. I think chemical abortions are fine. I think medication abortion is fine. And, and says abortion's fine and, rape and, cases of incest and rape and all this kind of stuff. And he's very wayward on the abortion issue, but yet the pro-life movement keeps heralding him as the most pro-life president. We've ever had. Yet, I don't know, a few months ago, he confirmed a Biden opinion on allowing the distribution of chemical abortions in all 50 states. So I think that really has been the biggest problem, right? Is that we have a supposed pro-life president who is extremely pro-abortion. So I think that is actually the biggest problem. But also, I think, yes, to the actual question, anytime we have someone who we see as conservative or anyone who we see as pro-life, there is just more apathy. in our country for our issues. When you have, Biden or you have an Obama or somebody in office, when there's someone to fight, you see more fight, right? My favorite, I tell people all the time, people are like, oh, where's your favorite place to speak? And always, hands down, California. California, always, not because of the weather, not because of the beaches, but because the people, because the people are always ready to fight. The people, they know there is a fight to be had, and they know that they must win. And so they are ready to fight. They are jazzed up, they are so pumped. Whereas I go to like a fundraiser in Texas and everybody's like, meh, like, yeah, okay, yeah, we're pro-life, yay. It's a completely different feel. People absolutely become complacent when they don't feel like there's a fight to be had or a fight to be won.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, Abby, once Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, my cat's up on my desk. Once Trump overturned, or when Roe v. Wade was overturned under his presidency, it's like he wiped his hands of it. He did his part. Now he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. That's kind of been my personal feeling about it. I have been, I kind of reserved judgment until this presidency. He did cut federal funding for Planned Parenthood, but he could go a lot farther, and he hasn't done it. So I'm in agreement with you on that one. Okay, Nicole, what's the next question? This is from Joseph, longtime viewer. Abby, do you think that pro-lifers are suffering from battle fatigue? Have they seen too few strides made to change people's opinions?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I'm the right person to answer that because I've only been in the movement for 15 years. So, honestly, there's people that have been doing this for longer than I've been alive. I'm 45. There's people that have been doing this for, 55 years. So, I don't know that I'm the right person to ask that because I am, in the grand scheme of things, like kind of relatively new to the movement when you talk to people that have been doing it that long. I'm not fatigued. I'm not tired because I've seen the life lost. That's always at the forefront of my mind. So I don't become fatigued, but I think it can happen to people. Absolutely. I think there's always a time for rest. And I think that certainly can happen for lifers too. Everyone needs rest, whether it's spiritual rest, physical rest, emotional rest. I think we need to listen to our bodies, listen to our minds, stay in prayer. I think it's important. I go out to clinics and centers. I go out to abortion centers and I pray. And I always try to go, I always go in front of the tabernacle. I always go in front of the Blessed Sacrament and pray before I go out in front of a place that's sacrificing children. I think that helps give me strength.
Yeah.
And it helps, it helps stave off any anger. And I think that's important too, that our hearts stay soft, that we don't, steel our hearts, because it is about, right? Like babies are being murdered. This is a thing that should make us angry. But when we think about the human cost of abortion, the human cost is not just the baby that's murdered. There is more than that, right? There is a father who has lost his fatherhood, whether he knows about it or not.
Right.
there is a mother that has lost her motherhood, whether she chose to make the abortion decision or not. Maybe she wanted that abortion. At the end of the day, there is a blemish on her soul because she chose sin over the life of her child. And whether she chose it or not, whether she knew it or not, her child was sacrificed and Satan rejoiced.
Mm-hmm.
That damages your soul, whether she recognizes it or not. That's a human loss. That's a human cost. And so there's so much, the people that are working in these facilities that are, piecing these baby parts back together, that are smelling the death of abortion, even if they enjoy working there, which I don't believe anybody truly enjoys working there, but even if they like it, even if they're like, yeah, I like working here. I'm pro-abortion, I'm pro-choice, whatever. It's so abnormal and it's so against natural law and God's nature to kill this creation that he's given us. It's a stain against the soul. That's a human cost. And those are all things that we have to really think about and understand. It's not just a baby that's cost here. They're probably tired. But we have to stay ready. We have to pray. We have to stay in adoration. We have to stay in the Blessed Sacrament, stay in our sacraments, go to daily mass when you can. I just went to daily mass this morning. Go to daily mass when you can. Receive the sacraments as often as possible. Go to confession. Go to confession weekly if you can. Go every other week. Go when you can. Stay ready, stay armed, stay prepared, and keep your heart soft.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Nicole, can you put up the next comment or question? Alan Rogers, another, he's one of the members only, along with Matthew and Nicole. What will stop the abortion pill is lawsuits against the drug companies due to the bad side effects. They will lose too much money. What's your thoughts on that, Abby?
So, yeah, I would like to, I would like to see if that could happen. A lot of these, I'll be honest with you, like, I don't even know where these pills are coming from. I don't know how they're being made. I don't understand pharmaceuticals enough to give like a brilliant answer to this. Alan, I'm sorry. But I know the pills I got, they were pretty much unmarked. They came, just some random pill. Got a ton of them, supposedly in the hospital.
Abby, you're breaking up quite a bit.
Them. Let me see here.
Yeah, you're breaking up quite a bit. And you're frozen.
Okay. All right. This should be better. I'm on my home Wi-Fi now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, the pills that we get from these, when they mail them in, it comes in a bottle. It's pretty much unmarked. It doesn't have the, who's dispensing the pills. It doesn't have the drug manufacturer. I have no idea who's making the pills.
Wow.
I don't think people know. Many of them are coming from India. They're coming from China. They're coming from Belgium, France, Mexico. I don't know if we have a way. Maybe Alan. I don't know. I don't know if we have a way to actually track down who is making all of these pills.
I wonder if you could sue the doctors that prescribe them.
Well, this is the problem, Christine. Many of them are coming from over like other countries.
Oh
Like
my
they're
God.
literally being shipped in from India.
No,
They're
what I meant,
literally
yeah,
so
what I'm,
we're not even talking to a doctor.
oh, you're not?
No. I never
Okay,
talk
let's
to a
back up
doctor.
then. Let's back up because I thought you had to have a telehealth appointment with a doctor in the United States to buy the pills. You don't.
No.
Okay, tell us
No.
how it's done then.
Okay, so there are over 70 websites currently
Wow.
in the United States. And if you just type in, and you can get it in any state, quite literally any state in the United States, you could type in abortion pill online and one of 70 websites would pop up. You could go to the first one that pops up. You can put in literally any name, any date of birth, any last menstrual cycle. You can put in any answer to any of the questions that they're going to ask you. You can put in any address, whatever address you want the pills shipped to. And within a couple of days, within 2 to 3 days, they will ship you without ever talking to a physician, without ever talking to a human person. It's
Wow.
all done via auto response. So you submit your information. They never ask for an ID. They never ask for proof of name, proof of date of birth. I could be a 12-year-old ordering pills saying I'm 21.
So
They don't care.
no verification at all.
No verification. You do not have to send them an ultrasound. You do not have to prove you're pregnant. You could be a man ordering pills with the intention of drugging your girlfriend to cause an abortion,
We
which
just
right
saw
now
that happen.
that's happening,
Yeah.
right? That's happening. We've seen a few cases like that. And, what are we going to do there? Right? Because at some point in time, there's going to have to be a reckoning here, because we've got these questions now, right? Where, okay, so it's illegal for a man to get pills and give those pills to his girlfriend. Why? Because she wanted the baby, but he didn't. Okay. So it's murder if he gives her the pills, not murder if she has an abortion.
If she willingly takes the pill.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point in time, there's going to be a reckoning there, because those two things don't make sense.
Right.
And people are going to have to figure out how are we going to continue to live in this existence with this incredible inconsistency?
Well, it's the same thing when a pregnant woman is in a car accident that's not her
Yes.
fault, and her and the baby died. It's considered a double homicide.
Right.
And if she gets an abortion, it's not. So
Right.
kind of the same scenario.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Nicole, next one. Joseph, the pro-life movement needs to include IVF in their battle strategy. This doesn't get talked about enough by the mainstream pro-life movement.
You know why it doesn't get talked about right now, especially, is because their dad, Trump, believes in IVF and supports IVF and is funding IVF now. And so they don't want to get in trouble with him. And so they are not going to talk about it because Trump is big time pro IVF. And that's why they're not talking about it.
Mike Pence pushed that here in Indiana like crazy. and he did as vice president too. And I know Kristen Hawkins supported Mike Pence, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Well, everybody did. I mean, and that this is what happened. So, I think I was the only. I think I was the only pro-life. I mean, this is not like I don't like when people are like, "Oh, you're a pro-life leader," but I think I was the only person that would be considered like a pro-life leader who did not endorse Trump in this last election cycle.
I remember that.
And I had a guy, one of his guys from the campaign came and had breakfast with me and got in my face, about how stupid I was for not endorsing Trump. And at the end of the meeting, he said to me, "That's fine. We don't need the pro-life vote." Just like we didn't need the farmers in 2016.
Oh, wow. Ouch.
And I said, "Well, that's fine, because you're not going to get my vote." And he said, "So you would rather it go to Kamala than go to Donald Trump?" And I said to him, "Maybe that's what it will take. Maybe that's what it will take for the pro-life movement to wake up and stop compromising with evil. Maybe it's going to have to get so very bad in order for the pro-life movement to say, we need to pick a better leader." And if that's what has to happen for us to actually get a principled Christian conservative leader in our country, then I'll take it.
So,
Because I'm tired of the constant compromise. I'm tired of us, when gosh, I can't remember who it was, Joseph or Matthew or whoever asked about the battle fatigue. You know why Joseph, you know why people are tired? You know why they're fatigued? He said it. He said, because we're not winning, right? We're not getting enough wins.
Yeah.
No, we're not winning because we're not putting forward winning strategies.
Well, I've been saying that for years.
Because we keep making these dumb compromises and we keep celebrating losses as wins.
Yes.
It's like when Roe was overturned and everybody in the movement was like, "Roe's overturned. This is what we've been waiting for. Everybody, big celebration." And I'm like, is it a win? Because look at what we have now. We have chemical abortion, women being their own abortionists in all 50 states. We have now state constitutions for the first time ever.
Yeah, ever.
State constitutions ratified, amended to include abortion in their state constitution. Never before. Now it's done in almost a dozen states. We have late-term abortion at its highest level, historically, highest level ever, late-term abortion. These are abortions on babies that could live outside of the womb. Since Roe's been overturned, at historically high levels. We have an increase of abortions. Which people say, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, but it's happening. We have more abortions now since Roe's been overturned than we did before. So you tell me, was overturning Roe a victory? Like, was that the victory that everybody thought it was going to be? I mean, I don't think so. I think we were grossly unprepared. And I don't think we knew what the heck was going to happen. I mean, there were people like me saying, I mean, not to pat myself on the back, but there were people like me saying, guys, if we do this and it goes to the states, Planned Parenthood and NARAL and NAF, they're going to be ready to drop state amendments. They're going to be ready to drop these state amendments and ratify the constitutions. And everybody was like, oh, Abby, shut up. Just celebrate. Just celebrate. But we're celebrating losses. That's what we keep doing in the pro-life movement. We celebrate mediocrity and we call it a victory. That is exhausting. That is exhausting.
Well,
I don't think
Abby,
people would be as tired if we were actually getting wins and celebrating real wins.
no, that would make us energetic.
Yes.
And I agree with you on that, because I kept saying when Roe v. Wade was overturned, I kept saying, be careful what you wish for, because this is not a win. And it's like you're talking to a void out there. It's like nobody understood that, how that was not a win. I think for me, that's been my most frustration, is I go on social media and I see these pro-life leaders cheerleading these little small things. And I'm thinking to myself, why are they so excited about this? This is not a win, not when abortions continue to go up. All right, I'll get off my soapbox because I'd rather hear from you. Okay, Nicole, what's next? Losing elections is not a bad thing. Paul is a longtime supporter here. Yeah, I agree.
Losing elections can lead to long-lasting change, and it can
Yeah.
lead to a permanent change. And I think that's now what we desperately need. When people constantly say to me, well, I'm not electing a pastor, I'm electing a president. And I'm like, well, why not both? Why can't we elect a president who puts his Christian values before anything else? Why is that a bad thing? Why can't we have both? I refuse to believe that we can't have both. I believe we can. But I think we chose incorrectly in the primaries. I couldn't believe it. In 2016, when in the primaries, when people were pulling for Trump, I literally, I could not believe it. I was like, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that Franklin Graham is standing in Donald Trump's office, endorsing him, taking a picture with him as his endorsement picture, and the entire wall behind him is pictures of Trump on the cover of Playboy.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I could not believe what I was seeing. And I thought, this nation is going straight to hell. If this is the type of person that is going to represent the supposed Christian majority in this country, we have a serious problem. And then in 2020 at the RNC, the Log Cabin Republicans, the gay Republican group, opened the RNC. And I thought, well, they wanted depravity and they elected Trump. And now look what they have. They have depravity. And now they have the MAGA movement. And the MAGA movement supports anything. You want to be trans? Fine. You want to be gay? Fine. You want to kill your baby? Fine. Whatever you want to do, we accept you. We're MAGA. We love everybody. The MAGA tent is a big tent. It's for everyone. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That is not the gospel. That is not what Scripture tells us. The gospel is actually not a gospel of diversity. It is narrow.
Mhm.
It is a narrow way. It is not for everyone and anyone. It is not for every freak show down the corner. It is for those who put their life and their faith into Jesus Christ. And that is it. That is it. And so we are selling a false gospel. We are selling we are selling politics and calling that gospel. And we are leading people straight to hell. And we are doing it 100% in the MAGA movement. And people have got to step away from it. And they have to stop doing it. And they have to stop being influenced by Donald Trump, of all people. They have to stop being influenced by him and start being influenced by people who are actually spiritual leaders. And those are the people that we need to be leading this country right now.
Yeah, it was disappointing that J.D. Vance has pretty much towed the line of Trump's policies when it comes to abortion. Him being a Catholic. I know I've kept you an hour and a half now, Abby. I have one more question, and then we'll be done. And I appreciate your time. So I had 3 people email me. Ask Abby how she lost her weight.
That is a hot topic question, Christine. I'm glad that you ask it. It is something that people ask all the time. All right, I will tell you. So it was a journey. Okay. So it wasn't like a simple, easy thing. Okay. So, but I will tell you the journey.
Well, let me ask you this. When did you start? When did you go losing weight?
Okay. It was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it was really actually when I started healing myself.
And was that when you were going back to school to become a therapist? Was it during that time?
I had already done that. I'd already done that. But I tell you what it was. I went to a place, and you may have heard of it. It's called Catholic Family Land.
No, I've never heard of that.
It sounds like a crazy place. It sounds like a place that would have like a broke down Ferris wheel with Jesus, Mary, and Joseph on the bucket. Okay. But it's not. It is a place that completely transformed my life. So it's actually called the Apostolate for Family Consecration, but everybody calls it Catholic Family Land. Otherwise known as Catholic Family Land. And that's exactly what it is. It is an apostolate that is dedicated to help families consecrate themselves to the Sacred Hearts of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Got it.
And I went there. I was asked to speak there at a Totus Tuus conference. And I went there for a weekend, and my life was forever changed. And I went there to speak, and I just received this retreat for myself. And there are these just amazing priests there, and there are consecrated laity, I guess. They're not priests, they live consecrated lives to the apostolate. And so I met these amazing, wonderful people and these amazing, wonderful priests who are really just dedicated to families. And it was the first time, honestly, that I was able to sit down with myself and just, I don't know, be really honest with myself and say, where are places that I need to heal? And I realized it was everywhere. In every area of my life, I needed to heal because 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago, when I was thrown into the pro-life movement, I was 29 years old. I had a 3-year-old, I was completely unprepared to suddenly be a pro-life leader. I had been a pro-choice, almost like socialist Democrat, and suddenly was the trophy of the pro-life movement. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to say it. Everything I said was critiqued at such a scrupulous way. You know, when you start a class, when you're a kid, you start a class and your teacher says, well, everybody's starting today with 100.
Yeah.
And so the grade you make is the grade you earn, but everybody today is starting at 100. When you run an abortion clinic and you help to facilitate the murder of over 22,000 babies, including 2 of your own, and you step into a foreign movement, you're really starting out with an F. And you feel like you're having to earn your way up to an A. And everybody is expecting you to fail. And it feels like, honestly, everybody kind of wants you to fail because they just expect you to, because you're the baby killer.
Mm-hmm.
And so along the way, I said a lot of wrong things. I screwed up a lot of things. I aligned with the wrong people. I didn't really know what I believed. And I played it well. I said that I had healed. I played church very well. I came into the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church did completely turn my marriage around. I don't think I would still be married to my husband if it had not been for the sacrament of marriage inside of the Catholic Church. And I did do a lot of things that were good in those first 12 years. But I did that, all of that healing for that first 12 years. I did it in front of a camera. And that is not how you want to heal from murdering your own 2 babies and helping 22,000 women murder their babies. I do not recommend. I give it 1 star. It is not the way you want to do it. And that's what I have been forced to do. That's not right. I had not been forced to do it. I had been given the opportunity to do it. And I felt like that's what God was calling me to do. I felt like I needed to right this wrong that I had done. And I felt like part of that was like my reparation.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever came, whatever bad things were said about me, well, I just deserved it. And because I had murdered babies. And but that 3 years ago, that was really when I sat down with a priest, and I was like, I don't think I've really healed from what I've done and from what this has done to me. And I realized that included so many areas of my life. And it was, yes, my heart. Yes, it was my soul. Yes, it was my mind, but it was also my body.
Mm-hmm.
I was not caring for my body in the way that I needed to. And so I came back home, and I started, kind of researching, like, how can I take better care of my body? I knew my diet was going to be a part of it. My diet was terrible. But I knew I could not diet for the rest of my life. And I knew something was going on with my body. Like, I knew I just wasn't processing things like I was supposed to. I felt like something was going on. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, and I encourage everyone to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of hard to find. Unfortunately, there's not that many out there, and most of them don't take insurance because insurance is a racket. So if you have insurance, a lot of times you have to pay cash, and then you get reimbursed from your insurance later. I found an amazing Christian, Catholic, pro-life, functional medicine doctor that was about 2 hours from me. And I figured, well, I'll make the drive once and see if it's worth it. And I made the drive. She drew 12 tubes of blood on that first visit and said, we're going to figure out what's going on with your body. And in that visit, and from those 12 tubes of blood, we figured out I had quite a few vitamin deficiencies. I wasn't producing several hormones like I was supposed to because of those vitamin deficiencies. And so we started getting some things back on track. In about 6 months, I felt better. Some weight was coming off because those deficiencies were being filled. I was producing progesterone at a normal rate now. So my hormones were kind of back on track. And so now I knew I needed to tackle my eating and eating better. I knew my metabolism was sort of slow because I had just been overweight and obese. I was really obese for a long time. And so I started doing the keto diet. And I was very intense about it. I was very hardcore about it. I was pretty much carnivore, except I did eat a lot of salad. And I ate a lot of like broccoli. I ate a lot of green vegetables. But I did not cheat. I did not have that occasional, piece of cake that would throw me out of ketosis. I was very strict. Meat, cheese, greens only. And heavy whipping cream. So I'd put that in my black coffee and that was it. I was very strict and I did that for about 9 months and I lost 50 pounds.
Good.
And that came off quickly and it was relatively easy. Because you can eat kind of as much as you want, as long as you stay within that food, right? That food group. I was feeling better. I was eating better. I had so much more energy. I was losing weight quickly. I sort of started to plateau and, it was getting harder and harder as I was traveling, cause I was like, okay, no potatoes for me, and I'm going to banquets and it's a lot of chicken and potatoes. Right.
Right.
And so it was getting like a little bit harder. And, so I was like, well, maybe I'm going to try something else. I'm kind of plateauing anyway. So I started doing like a low carb. I was only allowing myself about 15 to 20 grams of carbs a day, which was allowing me to have like some, vegetables, like some sweet potatoes. I try not to eat corn because our corn now has like literally plastic in it. Yeah. But like some healthier vegetables. And I started doing intermittent fasting. And so I started just doing like, I would only eat between like 11 and 7, and then 11 and 6, and then 12 to 6. And then eventually it was like, I only ate between 12 and 5. And that kind of jump started things again. And I lost another like 40 pounds. And that was kind of easy too. But then that got hard with the traveling, because then I wasn't eating any dinner at all. And then I felt like I kind of looked like a snoot because I'm going to these dinners. And I'm like, no dinner for me. So, and I was like, I can't live like this forever. I can't like intermittent fast maybe some people can, but I was like, I can't. So then honestly, I started looking back, like, what did people do? Like when my mom was like trying to lose, I was kind of looking like, what were kind of the trends that always seemed to pop back up, that like always seemed to work. And the thing that kept coming up over and over and over again was eating really small portions many times a day. And so it made sense. Like, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not an expert in this, but like it made sense, like kind of keeping your sugars at a level, a certain level, kind of keeping them even all day. Kind of eating as clean as you can, eating a lot of vegetables, getting like at least 60 grams of protein, 60 to 80 grams of protein a day. So eating your protein first, everything else second. That just made a lot of sense to me. Still keeping like, low carb. And so that's what I started doing. And honestly, I just eat all the time. I eat no more than the palm of my hand at every meal. And I literally eat like 6 to 8 times a day. I eat very small portions. It may be a handful of cashews, and I consider that a meal. It may be half of an avocado. It's good fat. It's healthy for you. It may be half of a peanut butter sandwich. I'm trying to think of things I consider a meal. It may be
eggs.
a hard-boiled egg, or maybe a scrambled egg. I like scrambled eggs. So maybe one scrambled egg, one, slice of bacon. And you may be like thinking like, well, that wouldn't fill me up, but it will. If you keep doing it and you just keep like tiny eating, so I got like tiny eating throughout the day, you just never really feel hungry. You just kind of feel satisfied all day long. And you're never like, I'm starving. Like you just never get that feeling. So then when you do eat just a little bit, you're like, I'm good. Like I'm satisfied. And that's when we like gorge ourselves, is when we're like so hungry and we overeat, and then our stomachs expand. And I don't drink any drinks while I'm eating food. So
do you do the apple cider vinegar water before you eat a meal?
I don't. Because I read somewhere that drinking anything while you're eating, this could be totally false, but I read somewhere that drinking anything while you're eating can expand the food in your stomach. And my goal is to make my stomach smaller, not to make it bigger, so that my stomach will feel full and I'll feel more satisfied for longer. So I don't drink anything while I'm eating. So after I'm done eating, like about 20 to 30 minutes after, that's when I start hydrating. And I mean, I drink a Coke a day. So I will probably do that until I die. I drink a Coke a day. I drink a lot of tea, and water. And I live a very happy and healthy life. I have taken no shots. I have taken no drugs. That's a question I get all the time. No shade against people who take them. I think it's a tool. It's all a tool. But there's just no miracle thing that's going to help you. It's tools. And it's just a way that I've just decided this is how I'm just going to have to live. I have an issue with food intake, and I had a really unhealthy relationship with food, and I used it to cope. I used it to, soothe emotions. I used it to celebrate. I used it for everything. And so I had to kind of break an unhealthy attachment with food. And I had to break a lot of unhealthy attachments. And that's just all been part of my healing process. And so I've lost 120 pounds, and I've kept that off now for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And I feel better than I've ever felt. So I've had no cosmetic surgery, no plastic surgery. I've done nothing to my face. People are like, what have you done to your face? I've done nothing to my face. I just lost 120 pounds. I guess it makes my face look kind of different. But nothing, I've done nothing to my face. I've done nothing to my body. I just lost weight. And I don't exercise a lot. I just have 8 kids. So I'm very active with them. Like I play basketball with them. I throw footballs. I play soccer with them. I'm just very active with them, but I'm not like outside, like lifting weights or anything like that. So I don't have
going
any like
to the gym for 2 hours a day.
I'm not going to the gym. I finally learned at 45 that or 43, it's really just about diet. It's really, for me anyway, it was really about what I was putting in my mouth and my toxic attachment to it.
Well, thank you for sharing that story with us, because I know I had 3 women that wanted to know. So
Yeah,
I
sorry, it was so
appreciate you.
long-winded, but it really was, it was really a journey for me, and it continues to be. And I tell people, you know, healing is not a destination, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, in a way, we're all kind of on that journey until we, you know, see Jesus face to face. And that's certainly my testimony. So,
Yeah. Well, Abby, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. And you help fill in the blanks for me on the pro-life movement, on things that are happening. You would know more about that. I'm an outsider looking in, other than, you know, the Rachel Vineyard
sure.
aspect of my my work with the pro-life movement. And that really concerned me when our leader was saying that enrollment has just slowly been going down to the point where we're canceling retreats. And that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah.
It is a concern. I think women are, we have a new group of women nowadays that will never sign up for a Rachel's Vineyard healing retreat. I mean, they won't now. They won't, you know, maybe ever. But there's these women that are having abortions. They're 18, 19, 20 years old. And they're having chemical abortions, and they're seeing their babies in the toilet, and they're flushing their babies down the toilet. And then a few days later, they're going, holy crap, I feel really sad. And I don't know why I feel sad.
Yeah.
And they go online, because everything's online, right? Everything's on social media. And they go on their Instagram and they go on their TikTok, and they post a video about how they had a chemical abortion and they flushed their baby down the toilet, and they're very graphic about it and they're very honest about it. And they say to their audience of 700,000 people or 1 million people, they say, and now I feel really sad. And I don't know why I feel really sad. And they just don't recognize that their sadness is grief, because their baby is dead.
Yeah.
And because they
Isn't
had
it funny? They can't connect the dots.
Yeah. Because society, everybody's told them, you won't feel sad after this. And they sit there and they go, maybe it's just my hormones. Maybe it's whatever. And then you look in the comments, and there are hundreds of other women going, oh my gosh, dude, I just had an abortion 2 weeks ago and I can't stop crying. And I don't understand why. And these are the women who are having abortions today, who are having abortions right now in their bathroom. I mean, our country has made every person's bathroom. They've turned every person's bathroom into an abortion clinic.
Mm-hmm.
These are the women that right now, at this moment, are passing their babies into toilets, flushing their babies down the toilet. And they're going to wake up tomorrow and realize, like, God, this sucks. I feel really bad. And they're not going to turn to a Rachel's Vineyard, but they're going to turn online. Mm-hmm. And they're going to find camaraderie among these hundreds of women on their Instagram that's like, I feel really sad too. I don't know why. And the pro-abortion world is going to try to draw them in and go, well, that's okay. Just because something hurts doesn't mean it was wrong. Mm-hmm. And you have all these women, all these pro-abortion women who are very predatory. They're going to try to convince them it's just your hormones. It was still the right decision, even though you're crying. Things that are hard make us cry. Things that make us cry don't mean that it was the wrong thing. And they're going to try to really be predatory and convince them you should be the next spokesperson for the pro-choice movement, to help women understand that even though hard things make us cry, it's still the right thing. And these are the women that get sucked into these pro-choice circles of people. And the pro-abortion movement uses their grief. They manipulate their grief and turn it into a cause.
Yeah.
And we need to be the movement that says, hey, that grief, I understand it. I get it. I have felt it too. Reach out if you need to talk, because they're not going to walk into a Rachel's Vineyard. They never will. But we are people who have also experienced that pain. We know it. We have felt it, even though we felt it maybe in a different way. And I think that peer-to-peer response, that peer-to-peer like handout, that reach out, that's going to go so much further right now, especially with our internet culture, than like a retreat will. And so I was saying earlier on another interview, like the sidewalk is going away.
Yeah.
You know, abortion clinics are closing. The sidewalk as we know it is going away. And so somebody said, well, what's the new sidewalk? And I said, comments. Comments. That's the new sidewalk. That's where women are going, I'm thinking about having an abortion, guys. Like, tell me what you know about it. And we've got to be there. Like, we have to be in that comment section going, hey, sister, like, I've had an abortion. I've worked in an abortion clinic. I've felt what an abortion feels like. Like, reach out to me. Here's my email. Call me. Like, let me share my experience with you. Not like, you're going to go to hell if you have an abortion. You're going to regret it for the rest of your life if you have an abortion. You're going to never stop thinking about that baby if you have an abortion. That's not what's going to draw them in. But just that connection to being like, hey, sis, I've done this. I've been on that path. I've had that positive pregnancy test. I know exactly what you're feeling. Like, I had those racing thoughts too. Like, if you need somebody to talk to, reach out. Like, that is the new sidewalk. Yeah. And that's where we have to be. That's where we have to be, like, ministering to women.
Well, I think you've given us all a lot to think about, Abby.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The new sidewalk. I like that. All right. Now I got you on record saying you'll come back.
Absolutely.
When your movie comes out. So any last words that you'd like to give the audience?
You know, my kids go to a Catholic school, and they have a Bible. My 6-year-old just said, yeah, we do. And they have a Bible verse every year that they have to memorize and quote and everything. And they open up every mass with it. And their Bible verse this year is never grow tired of doing good. And I thought, man, that's really apropos for us too, right? Is that we never grow tired, and rest if you need to rest, but come back. And come back ready, and come back knowing that this fight is always going to be there. As long as sin abounds, we will have to be here standing up for the weakest among us. And we have to be here assuring others that we will be here, that we're not going to abandon the weakest among us in their most vulnerable time, that we will be here standing strong, standing sure, to protect kids like this. So that's it.
Well, thank you, Abby. And remember, what's his name?
Fulton.
Fulton Sheen.
That's right. After Fulton Sheen. That's right.
Fulton John.
Hi, Fulton.
Fulton John. And this is Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Short for Lucille.
Short for Lucille.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And here's another one. This is Magdalene.
Hi, Magdalene.
We're twins.
They're twins. So, all right, we're going to go.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your children.
Yes. Thank you for having me on and letting me share all of this. So,
I appreciate it. And everyone, you know how we end, and that is eternal life is forever. Got a plan? Our plan has to be Jesus, right, Abby?
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Every
much
day.
for being on. Every day,
Of course.
All righty.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.
And we'll see you when the movie comes out.
All righty. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.